year was 1526. Northern India, long ruled by the Delhi Sultanate, was in turmoil. The reigning Sultan, Ibrahim Lodi, was unpopular among his own nobles, who resented his autocratic rule. Meanwhile, far to the northwest, a descendant of Timur and Genghis Khan had set his sights on Hindustan. His name was Babur, a young and ambitious warrior from Central Asia who had already carved out a stronghold in Kabul, Afghanistan. Babur was no stranger to warfare. At the age of 12, he had lost his ancestral city of Samarkand to the Uzbeks and spent much of his youth fighting to reclaim his lost kingdom. However, after years of struggle, he realized that the riches of India far surpassed anything Central Asia could offer. The Delhi Sultanate, though weakened by internal strife, still controlled vast territories, and Babur was determined to conquer it. The opportunity came in 1523 when Daulat Khan Lodi, a powerful noble in Punjab, invited Babur to invade India and overthrow Ibrahim Lodi. Babur accepted the invitation, but his ambitions went beyond merely helping Daulat Khan. He intended to take Delhi for himself. For 2 years, Babur conducted raids into the Punjab, testing the strength of the Sultanate's forces. Finally, in December 1525, he led a well-trained army of around 10,000 soldiers across the Indus River, beginning his march toward Delhi. News of Babur's invasion soon reached Ibrahim Lodi, who assembled an enormous force of over 100,000 soldiers and 1,000 war elephants to confront him. The two armies met on April 21, 1526, on the vast plains of Panipat, a strategic location approximately 80 kilometers north of Delhi. Here, one of the most decisive battles in Indian history would be fought. Despite being vastly outnumbered, Babur was no ordinary general. He was a master strategist who understood the power of gunpowder warfare, a technology that was still relatively new in India. Unlike Ibrahim Lodi, who relied on traditional methods of battle with war elephants and massive infantry formations, Babur brought something revolutionary to the battlefield: artillery and matchlock muskets. To counter the overwhelming numbers of Lodi's army, Babur devised a brilliant defensive strategy: field fortifications. He arranged 700 carts to loom a system in a defensive line, tying them together with leather ropes and reinforcing them with earthen ramparts. These carts provided cover for his cannons and musketeers. Flanking tactics. While the carts formed a strong defensive front, Babur left gaps in the formation, allowing his cavalry to charge through at the right moment. Psychological warfare. Babur understood that elephants, though formidable, could be easily panicked by loud noises and gunfire. His plan was to use artillery to create chaos among Lodi's war elephants. For 8 days, both armies faced each other, waiting for the other to make a move. Finally, on the morning of April 21, 1526, Ibrahim Lodi launched his attack, unaware of the trap Babur had set for him. As Ibrahim's army surged forward, they encountered Babur's defensive line. The war elephants, meant to crush enemy ranks, struggled to advance due to the muddy terrain and the trenches Babur had dug. The Mughal cannons roared to life, sending thunderous explosions across the battlefield. The elephants panicked, trampling their own troops in confusion. Lodi's massive army, tightly packed, became easy targets for Babur's artillery and matchlock gunners. Meanwhile, Babur's cavalry, fast and highly disciplined, launched devastating flank attacks, cutting through the enemy ranks with deadly precision. The Sultan's forces, though superior in numbers, had no answer to Babur's innovative tactics. Soon, the battlefield turned into chaos. As bodies piled up, Ibrahim Lodi himself led a desperate charge to turn the tide. But it was too late. Surrounded and outmatched, he was killed in combat, his army disintegrating around him. By midday, the battle was over. The once mighty army of the Delhi Sultanate lay in ruins. Babur had achieved an unprecedented victory, one that would change the course of Indian history forever. With Ibrahim Lodi dead and his army shattered, Babur marched triumphantly into Delhi. On April 27, 1526, he formally declared himself the ruler of Hindustan. But victory was only the beginning. The battle had proven that the age of war elephants and traditional Indian warfare was over. Gunpowder, firearms, and tactical warfare had arrived. Babur's conquest laid the foundations for the Mughal Empire, which would go on to dominate India for over 3 centuries. The First Battle of Panipat was not just a military engagement. It was a watershed moment that introduced modern warfare to the Indian subcontinent and heralded the rise of one of the greatest empires in world history. The First Battle of Panipat remains one of the most significant battles in Indian history because it marked the beginning of Mughal rule in India, which lasted until the British took control in the 19th century. It demonstrated the superiority of gunpowder weapons and artillery over traditional Indian military tactics. It ended the rule of the Delhi Sultanate and set the stage for the vast Mughal Empire, which would soon reach its peak under Akbar, Babur's grandson. Babur's victory was no mere conquest. It was the dawn of a new era. His descendants would go on to build the Taj Mahal, expand trade, and foster cultural achievements that shaped the history of the Indian subcontinent. But it all began with that fateful day in 1526 on the plains of Panipat.